So this is going to be my video on lane swapping, what a lane swap is, and I'm going to go into a very decent amount of detail about lane swapping. So right here we got Summoner's Rift. So the idea of lane swapping is one of the teams decide to send their bottom lane, duo lane, topside. Now there's different reasons why you would want to do that. So lane swaps, you want to send your duo lane top. So there's different reasons you'd want to do that. You could have a weak 2v2 lane. The other 2v2 lane could be way too strong. You could actually start. It's a very good counter to Aurelia because Aurelia does really poor in lane swaps. So that could be another reason you send. The top laner has an issue farming in this 2v2 style lane. So that's another reason why lane swaps occur. Now the issue with initiating the lane swap, when you send your duo lane top, you're now giving the other side full contestation of the Drake. Getting that early Drake right now is not super important, but it does set a time limit on the game. If you can land a 6-minute, 7-minute Drake, you're really setting a timer for them to really need to contest this next Drake if the lane swap doesn't fall in their favor. But having that Drake control early game can set the tempo for your game. So why does this lane swap come into effect? Well, right now there's a few different AD carries that push the towers really quick. Some of them being Tristana, Jinx, Sivir, and Sivir. Those are the three champions that really push the wave early, and some supports actually have more insight and help to doing it. So the issue is now the top laner ends up double jungling, and that's where things can get very tricky. Because when you send your duo lane top, it's hard to pick out, is the enemy team gonna call the lane swap and send their duo lane top as well, and it's just gonna be standard lanes, but the duo lanes are up top, top lanes are down bot. So now, if they do call it, and both are topside, now it's really hard if the jungler is gonna want to start towards this side of the map if they know if they don't have vision of the enemy duo lane. They don't want to go near the other duo lane because sometimes the support can get involved, and they just don't want to be near that other duo lane. They want to get their level 2 and get that top laner back to lane after picking up some farm to pick up the next wave that the other team may shove. So I have a few games that I have already posted from, because there's different variations of lane swaps. It may sound weird that there's different variations, but each region almost seems to have their own way of doing a lane swap. NA and EU, the LCS teams, they just tend to do this like fast shove to get this tower down. This tower and this tower, or this tower and this tower, making this lane and this lane either really long, making it really long and hard for the top laner to pick up farm. So the top laner in this issue, the top laner with a lane swap does slow down on farm, but they end up picking up resources when the lanes end up shoving back to them, or when the lanes end up shoving back to them. So now the different variations of it come in through gameplay. There's been times where when with this fast shove, teams have been trying to counter it by sending 2 people top to stop it, but the way the jungle pathing works, sometimes the jungler and top laner also meet up with them, so it's a 4-man dive, and the 2-man can't stop this 4-man dive if done properly. That's why they've been sending 3 people top, and sometimes even with 3 people top, they still end up getting the turret, but no deaths occur. It depends on, once again, who's shoving the waves, who's trying to take the turret, and who's not. And also what CCs within the supports and junglers and top laners, and how much damage in the level 1 and level 2 to level 1 to level 2 spikes and so forth. So certain champions that do better in lane swaps that opposed to others. I mentioned Aurelia. Aurelia hasn't been seeing gameplay because of this lane swap. The only reason you've been seeing Aurelia is because the Aurelia mid. She doesn't have to worry about the lane swap. She's in this lane right here, and it's okay for her. It's not a big deal. But the issue with going Aurelia top is because of the lane swaps existing. It's really hard for her to pick up farm. She has an expensive build. She needs Trinity Force. She probably wants to get tanky then, and with this tanky meta, I don't think Aurelia really fits in with it because of the lane swaps and how things are going. So where do these variations come from? These various variations of lane swaps come from different regions. Like you have the Chinese and Korean lane swaps where they just want to free farm and maybe free farm and pick up and get the gold onto their AD. I have a game where actually TDK and Gravity do this, but Gravity goes for this fast push and TDK doesn't. So we're gonna go look at different variations of the lane swaps. We're gonna look at the fast push first and how it's different opposed to the slow push. So this is gonna be a fast push from Fnatic, I believe. So we're gonna start off. We're gonna get just the line of scrimmage and some standard wards. I'm not going to talk about team comps and stuff in this game, but alright, so right now we know Origin's starting top, sending in for the lane swap. Corki is up there, and so Tristana's down there. So we have a roaming Alistar and an Elise, and a roaming Lulu. Lulu didn't really get to start her wolves by herself, so she's going to be down a little bit. She's down at a disadvantage opposed to Soaz. So right now the red side is trying to get this fast push going. They're moving their top laner and jungler to get to this tower when this wave hits the tower. They're trying to make it so this wave and this wave both collide at the tower. Sometimes the top laner may come in to pick up this wave just to stop it from hitting. So this is the variation of the fast push. They're going to try knocking down this tower as quick as possible. Gangplank's going to stop the wave. And now Elise is picking up blue buff. Fnatic's trying to copy it as well, keep everything under control. Alistar's tanking the minions, so the minions don't help clear out this wave. So Origin is sticking with this fast push. Gragas is still jungling. They're just doing a 3v3 fast push. And now this is where things get different with this new meta that's been coming about with this top lane carry. Before, the AD carries were just getting the last hit on the turret. Now it's been swinging more towards this this top laner picking up the solo on the tower. Right now it looks like Niels and Soaz are gonna everyone's gonna share it. So they're both doing this fast push, and now the waves are gonna be like that. Now the lanes are gonna be like this. We got the really long lane here, and we're gonna have the really long lane here. It seems like Fnatic's given this solo tower gold to just Huni, where everyone else shared it. So it's a different variation. They know the reason why they gave it to Huni in that instance was because they know he's behind Soaz by about 9 gold and 9 CS, and the fact that he's sitting at a wave right now, and he was able to double jungle. So Huni's really behind, and this is just how Fnatic's gonna counter it and counter this lane swap and just try to keep up with Soaz. Right now, Fnatic's playing from behind, trying to keep having their top laner at a disadvantage. So we'll see how this. So that's how this lane swap went about. And now we'll see what they do from here. Do they send their top laners top, or do they send... It looks like they're going to send the AD carry and supports to the top lane, to the longer lane. Alistar is actually going to roam, see if he can find anything. He's gonna get a pink, but now Tristana is able to, now this wave right here is kind of frozen, but it's gonna push into Soaz. So he will soak up this farm eventually. Right now, Yellowstar's just being annoying, looking around, seeing if he can find anything. Now it looks like Fnatic's gonna give up this bot side tower as well, and they're going to try to recopy this, keep this fast push game going. This is what I've been seeing from a lot of European teams and NA teams. They seem to have this thing for fast pushing the outer tier turrets because of the champions they pick. Corki, I wouldn't say is strong at taking the first tier 1 turrets, but it does mess with Corki's build. Corki, if you have the normal 2v2 lane with Corki, he's going to go Sheen first majority of the time. But since with this lane swap meta, he needs to change his build around. He needs to go for the Phage first, so he has like the ruby sight, the ruby crystal, and the longsword, so he could get a little bit more AD. Overall, from this lane swap, I would have to say Origin is a a little bit more ahead. Not by much, but just a little bit more. So now Gangplank's teleporting mid. He really doesn't have anything to do in general, so I mean, it does set them up for a really good Drake right here, because Fnatic has no idea this is going on. They got their bot lane bot, and they know everyone everyone from Fnatic is topside right now. So just really good play. This is the issue you get. The only Fnatic could have done this. They could have actually just froze the wave down bot lane, picked up farm for their Tristana, and maybe tried to do this early Drake with a 3-man early Drake or a 4-man Drake. It would have gave Soaz a little bit more advantage than Huni at that point. They could have just sent Huni top to pick this up, but a little different variations of the lane swap. So this is how sometimes lane swaps favor heavily. Now, I would say Origin is really ahead now. Yes, you can say the gold advantage right now is different. It's more towards Fnatic, but let's find out why. So Elise has been hard farming where Gragas has been taking Drake, and helping his team push these towers down. So Gangplank on the Lulu right now has a 15 CS advantage, and I believe a 1 level advantage in general, but it looks like Corki's going to be dealing with this Lulu. Now, each lane has a really long lane, and it's kind of awkward because you don't feel safe. You need to have really superior vision, because right now, each jungler has the ability to just go around, cut through, avoid the wards at this point, and just flank. And it becomes really awkward and unsafe for each team, and they both probably feel really uncomfortable, so they both want their waves to come towards them, closer to their tower. Just a different variation of lane swap. So next lane swap we're going to look at is Gravity and TDK.
Dragon Knights.
Alright, let's lower this a bit.
Mid lane. Whoa,
so Gravity looks like they're going to do an invade just to see where everyone's going. Seraph's going to just get up there. Are they going to get the ward? No. So they know the ward's there. It looks like they know that a lane swap may occur. Kez is just going to put another ward down by the river. A little awkward on this ward. I would have liked to see it more by the red buff, but I would have liked to see it more towards the red. Emperor getting Emperor and Thresh getting the other Draven and Thresh getting the 2 wards down here, so they know if they'll come down. Emperor TDK getting their own deep wards in. I like Gravity's wards a little bit more.
Deep wards, no information for either team quite yet.
I just want to lower them a little bit more. I'm just going to mute them, actually. Okay. So Gravity's sending is going to initiate this lane swap. They're going to send Bunny and Altec towards the top side. They're going to start a jungle camp, and we'll see how this goes from here. Awkward mid lane matchup. I'm not even going to talk about it. Altec and Bunny are just trying to get the level 2. They're not starting this freeze. It looks like they're going to push. I can't tell from Thresh and Draven side. It looks like Draven may want to freeze on this point. The issue with this lane swap was, why it was initiated, was because Sivir pushes down turrets quicker, and Draven honestly really beats Sivir hard in lane. So I can understand why Gravity wants to get rid of this, gets this lane swap in. So right now, just some farming mid lane. The double looks like right now. So let's see what we got from the junglers. Elise and Kassadin both started did Wolves and Gromp, and then into blue buff. Now Gragas did their Gravity did their whole blue side jungle, and now it looks like they're trying to get this tower. It looks like they're trying to see if TDK is going to contest this. Yep, we got Hauntzer, Bunny, and Altec fast pushing this wave in. Move is trying to get more farm, and it looks like TDK just knows everyone's top side, so they're really gonna just do the same thing and just match. Now the Draven is starting to fast push now. I don't know if they're gonna try to fast push this, like send the whole bot lane, send both of them bottom and try to help fast push, or if they're just gonna keep double jungling. Now, Altec, and now it looks like Gravity has succeeded at taking this tower. They're gonna they're gonna make all the minions get eaten by the tower, and then it looks like Haunster's gonna pick this up. A little awkward. I wouldn't think having Haunster pick this up would be beneficial. Rumble's one of those champions that does pretty well in the lane swap. He doesn't need much gold to really be effective early game. He just needs like a Haunting Guise or Source Pen Boots because of his Equalizer. It has so much base damage. And the fact that if he places it well, it can really change a team fight early Drake fights. So I don't think that getting Rumble is really beneficial. So TDK is still farming. It looks like everyone had even fair. Oh, they left a Wraith for him. That's sending a message. Just really outplaying the enemy team. They're still sending they're gonna try this Drake. This could have been a little questionable if they don't know where Sivir is right now, and it looks or Bunny. So this could have been a little questionable. It looks like they're just gonna send Thresh and Draven to help clear out this Drake. Nope, they're just gonna send Thresh at this point. Draven is still sitting there keeping the wave frozen. They're not real. It doesn't look like they're trying to fast push this wave. So this is what I want to get into. Now we got the CS differentials right now. Right now we got Sivir at, come on, first Drakes, yes. Average Bat Dragons, 5th Dragon buffs, cool. Come on. So right now we got Draven at 26 CS, and Sivir did pick up another Doran's Blade. So it looks like we're just going to have the Draven sitting there free farming, and Sivir sitting there free farming. The issue is Sivir had recalled and Haunster picked up the wave. So she's down a little bit. So now we're just going to keep this whole slow push going. And Draven's trying to freeze this lane and have this wave come back towards him. So it really puts Haunster at a disadvantage because he really doesn't know where to be right now. He's kind of just following Gragas around, and they're just trying to do something with this mid lane Aurelia and land a gank. It looks like we're going to have a really big fight mid lane. TDK really, it's just a really messy fight right here. And it's all because of how this lane swap went. Both top laners really have nowhere to be because it's just really hard for them to find somewhere to be. Kossen really doesn't want to go top right now. Kossen doesn't really do well into this melee, this ranged melee versus him, so it's going to be really awkward until level 6 until he can pick up his Rod or Tier, whatever he decides to go first. It looks like Rod, so he's just going to be far behind and trying to find something to do. Same with this Rumble, but this is where Rumble comes at an advantage. He doesn't really need much gold, but he does need some, and right now he's not getting any really. So just a really awkward spot from it's just really awkward with this lane swap right now on the side of Gravity, because they have the Sivir free farming. At the end of the day, Sivir isn't much of a threat opposed to his Draven. Like right now, we have once again they're keeping this lane frozen. Altec soaking up the damage, so the minion starts piling on one melee minion, keeping it pushed in. Now it looks like Haunster's picking up some farm mid since Aurelia recalled, and I guess Jarvan wanted to recall as well. Aurelia just chunking down this Rumble. Looks like Rumble's just going to hold the lane and freeze it. Now this is really good by TDK from this. They want to push this tower in now because Emperor has enough for a BF sword at this point. He has 57 gold. He's going to probably have enough for a BF sword plus a few health potions. And that's just going to really abuse this Sivir lane with just a Doran's Blade. The bot lane is just sitting there at this... the jungler top laner is just sitting there at this point, just keeping tabs on it, just to keep them safe. In this lane swap, I would say TDK drastically got ahead. We're going to see in a few seconds what Draven buys from this whole push. Nope, not yet. He's not recalling yet. I think he was just staying just in case things went bad. Alright, looks like they're going to try and do something with this. Haunster trying to pick up farm, but now he's going to get really abused for it. This Draven's going to get really fed now. He picked up a lot of gold at this point, and it's not just from the lane swap and the first blood money. I mean, it's not just from the first blood money and the kill. It was from the lane swap. He's at 1,300. He's at a total of 3,300 gold. Sivir sitting on. Sivir only has Sivir looked like she only had 2,800. So now this Draven really has no problem going to lane with this Sivir and staying that close up in her face because of how this lane's going to turn out. Rumble did finally get his haunting, guys, so I wouldn't say he's at a disadvantage opposed to Kassadin, but this Draven is really far ahead. So this is what we get from the slow push and when you initiate the lane swap. Since Gravity initiated the lane swap, TDK took advantage. They know that Draven's not too great at fast pushing the tower and picking up CS at the same time, so they figured let's just freeze it. We know they're going to go for this fast push on top side and accept that they're going to get this fast push, because at the end of the day, they know that Rumble isn't really going to want to go to this lane with Draven because of how much he's going to get bullied. And I think TDK played this really well, freezing the lane, getting this money onto Emperor. Alright, so the next lane swap we're going to see. Our next lane swap we're going to see is SKT and KT Rolster.
To the semi-final.
Alright, let's lower them again. And we'll see how this goes. It looks like a standard lane. Looks like we have the normal vision. Looks like it was already contested. And we got the bot lane. It looks like KT Rolster's initiating this lane swap. We'll see why. I think they were expecting SKT to initiate a lane swap. That was kind of an awkward start, getting all 4 people to leash that for Maokai Elise. Corki and Braum are just going to pick up that and just go back into lane. So we got a lane swap going, and it's a general double jungle. It looks like Maokai's recalling already. So we'll see how what KT does with this. So this would be 2 Korean teams playing SKT and KT Rolster, Seed 1 and Seed 3 that will be appearing at Worlds. Peekaboo doing some. Alright, we're going to talk about that. The support roams I'll go into at the final vid. The support roams lately have been just going in, peeking into the jungle, and just checking to see if any of the enemy team has cleared some camps. If they're clearing a camp at that present moment, the support can sometimes get in the way, try to cause some extra damage, or even try to steal the actual camp, really setting teams behind. Faker and Nagye. Actually a reverse matchup from last time Faker played LeBlanc into Azir. I don't think it was against Nagye, but Faker has played this matchup just in reverse. And this was before the Azir nerfs. I don't know if this is... I think this is patch 5.15, so this was before the Juggernaut emergence. Really don't want to go into detail. It looks like we're going to get a freeze from SKT. It looks like SKT is also going to fast push this, but they're just going to let the wave bounce. They're not going to take the turret. So right now, the difference in lane swaps right here. Someday is going to miss this full wave that Ashe shoved in, and looks like SKT is going to try for Marin to pick this farm up as well. So they're sending 3 people top. They have Marin by himself, and then they got Wolf and Bengi right behind him. So Marin's going to be able to pick this up, no problem. Both bot lanes are going to recall. Both jungler and top are going to recall. Right now, I think they only saw Wolf. They have no idea Bengi's over here. So they're debating if they want to do some dive. But they see Wolf, so it's not really that of a great dive. Someday did recall, but went back to base, bought some wards, and is going to go back and farm. So this is the variation of a Korean lane swap, where the double jungling lasts a little bit longer, and no early towers go down, and it's more vision contested, and it's more towards this more keeping the lanes in check. They don't really want these early towers going down because they can't. The way the Koreans have been playing League lately is they want to outplay you by vision control, whereas China wants to outplay you mechanically by team fighting. That's how this game has been evolving in different regions, where EU and NA, they don't really know if they want to play this. They're just playing it based upon vision control as well, but they also have some mechanical issues as well, where certain teams are just mechanically better than others, and certain players are just mechanically better. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen in Korea or China, but it looks like we're gonna have and this is sometimes what happens as well. You get the top laner support versus the AD carry support, and it's a little awkward, but the issue with this is Maokai really needs some help, and he needs to get this tower. He needs to get this wave shoved into the tower so it can bounce back. That's the issue with this. But I think KT is just going to freeze it here, and it's going to be really uncomfortable for this SKT side right now. Where Someday is also having the same issue. He was able to shove it against the Ashe, but it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit easier for Gnar to farm opposed to Maokai under the 1v1 ranged matchup. Faker getting bullied a little bit. Nagye just being annoying, stopping his recall. So we're gonna see how this lane swap continues to fall out. Right now, I would have to say it's favoring SKT a little bit. We got even amount of CS on the Corki and Ashe, but we have a 7 CS differential between the Gnar and the Maokai. In this game, I would say Gnar needs to get this to become have a Black Cleaver build and get tanky and put out some damage. Where in this instance, Maokai just needs to both build full tank and be this frontline tank for Azir Ashe. This was an interesting recall. Wolf recalled earlier, and he's kind of just roaming at this point because he doesn't want to soak up too much farm from Maokai. The issue with him soaking up too much farm from Maokai is Maokai starts to fall really far behind this Gnar. But at the pros at this, since Braum was up top with Corki for a little bit, Ashe is going to be ahead of Corki, because right now we see Corki's at level 5. And Ashe is at level 6. Just different variations, once again, in the lane swaps. And we're going to talk about that support roam in the next video once this just progresses a little bit more. So now, right now, since Wolf is top, it's a little bit harder for to get this Drake under contestation since they know Gnar's bot side. And just with the different matchups in general, Ashe really doesn't have this early game potential. She doesn't have a BF sword yet, or if she's going to go Avarice. They're not at that Drake contesting point. Ashe is stepping a little far out. She is a very immobile AD carry, but there's not much gank assistance from the Gnar other than the slow on his boomerang and the knock-up from Vi. So there's really not much gank assistance. Vi isn't level 6 yet. If she was level 6, I think they could have ganked her and it would have been okay. At least sitting there. Now, Maokai getting bullied again because of how the lane's pushed up. Ooh, wow, he's going to take a lot of damage. Oh, he's going to get a kill from the sap. Oh, wow. This is the issue when you overextend in this lane. With overextend as the top laner, once you overextend and they put some damage, they can initiate on you and kill you, and that's what happened there. So KT Rolster really now stepping out, winning this lane swap. I think right now they're definitely going to want to send their duo lane bot at this point and just let Marn sit top. And I think SKT should just really surrender this first Drake if KT Rolster wants to go for it. So this sometimes happens in lane swaps. Now the Gnar's building is getting his Spectral's Cow early. This is really good for the Gnar matchup. Maokai does do a lot of AP damage. They can do the split push. This whole split push idea right now. It looks like Vi may be going Warrior Enchant, not Cinderhulk, because of how their team comp is. If Gnar does go full tank, Corki's going to fall off for early, and they need another damage threat. LeBlanc will be, but Nagye will really need to hard carry for LeBlanc to be the only damage source in this whole fight. Peekaboo getting caught out a little bit from the Ashe and Alistar. Doesn't look too good for Peekaboo. Gnar's going to come down. Really good ult. Bangi doing really well trying to get out of this, but he's dead at this point. Good disengage. good reaction from KT Rolster trying to pick up at least one kill for Peekaboo getting caught out on this Braum. The issue with Someday teleporting is it does gives Marin some chance to pick up farm. So the lane swap overall before this skirmish went down, I would have said it went in favor of KT Rolster. They had the TP advantage. They could have picked up Drake. Everything's pretty much going in their favor. They did set Marin a little bit. They set Marin behind. If he didn't teleport, Maokai still would have picked up the CS, but Nar's already at a teleport advantage. They could have just made a play with the teleport instead of Peekaboo getting caught out. Wait for Peekaboo to hit 6 and just really take control of this Drake area and pick up first Drake. So that was the Korean lane swap. They really don't emphasize on pushing these early towers. Now we're gonna see what happens when we're gonna see now what happens when they try to counter this turret dive and then they don't send enough people with this lane swap. So right here we're just gonna get standard Vision War. Start off. We got Korra 1 on. We got EDG and LGD, Seed 2 and Seed 1, and we'll see how this lane swap plays off. So we just got standard. So it looks like we're just getting a standard scrimmage of standard line of scrimmage with the wards. No one really invading, knowing where anyone else is going to be. Right now at this point, it's just guesswork. No one knows exactly where everyone is. Alright, so it looks like LGD is going to try to go for this lane swap. They want to keep this... it looks like they both want to keep their AD carries away from each other. Kog'Maw into Jinx. Jinx is going to take control of the lane early until Kog'Maw hits 6, and then Kog'Maw is just going to poke Jinx out. So I think LGD may think EDG's lane swapping, and the fact that Imp is better at Deft in laning, but Deft is better at team fighting, I would say, at most of the time. So keeping Deft away from Imp in this 2v2, especially on these champions, I think is better off. Pawn missed a CS. Alright, so it looks like they were just trying to see where they were starting, and it looks like Annie's just going to roam around trying to see if she can find where this duo lane is, this duo top jungle is, and she might place a ward early. Just to have an idea. It looks like she placed it already over by the Grom. Oh, nope, she placed it towards the wolves. By the entrance of the wolves, so coming from this gate. So it looks like Pawn's gonna get camped. This is a different variation of the lane swap where sometimes they don't go for this dive on top. They try to just push. Yasuo is gonna push out this lane, so they might they tried landing a dive on him. Now the top lane duo is gonna go towards their top side now. Lulu really can't come close to it because she will get dove. Korra will get dove. So at this point, EDG, LDG. Oh shit! I think this is a different video. So what I said before was that we're gonna see what happens when someone's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think Lulu is gonna be the example of this, where Lulu can get dove right now. And they're just they're waiting for this wave to get shoved. The issue with Lulu is she has really good wave clear, but TBQ is just going to stop her wave clear at this point, and they're just going to really punish Lulu, and they might actually land a kill on her. Korra 1 flashing, I would say that flash was definitely needed. So it looks like they're just going to shove this in and just make Lulu miss the CS. I don't think they're going to try to fast push it. Sorry about that. So it looks like they're just trying to fast push these turrets, both of them. I would say it goes into favor of EDG on this with the fast push because of the Jinx. But overall, I would say right now it's in favor of LGD because they did burn the flash. They did burn the flash of Lulu, and that could result in another return gank, which it may occur. Acorn's going to just go bot side. Jinx did take this tower, so a little different from China. They're trying to keep this lane they did the fast push where Jinx needs this goal to contest with the Kog'Maw. She's going to go with a pickaxe first just so she has that early damage threat opposed to Kog'Maw, where he might go. He could either with Kog'Maw lately. Some people have been going Blade of the Rune King first, just to keep up with this. Just to keep up with the harass. So we'll see what Imp goes first. Imp's almost done recalling. He's gonna end up going for this Trinity Force first. He does pick up both items for the Phage. So he is trying to keep Jinx under control. And if we look at the levels right now, it's 4 into 4. So right now it does favor Jinx for now, but it won't be for long. Jinx shoves this wave in, and she's roaming towards this mid lane because she doesn't know where anyone else is, and she doesn't have the support of her Annie. Some supports actually do poor in lane swaps. I would have to say Annie is one of them. I'll go into detail why Annie does poor in lane swaps after this video. So we're going to see how this continues to fall out. Lulu is really soaking up farm right now, where Ryze can't because he has nowhere to be since Imp is still staying topside. Right now, Acorn's just trying to find somewhere to pick up farm and make some money just so he can be useful, because it does take him some time to scale up. Lulu going for the double Dorans. She's just trying to keep some mana at this point. The mid lane going in favor of Pawn a little bit. CS advantage of 5, and the lane kind of just reset. So it looks like Lee Sin's going down to help Ryze just stay secure, just so Ryze can pick up some farm safely, because he doesn't have the security of his turret. So that's a really good adaptation to how this has been happening, where he does place a pink ward and they do spot out Evelynn. So TBQ really keeping trying to help his top laner Acorn in this situation. Alright, so this is how this lane swap went. It's not officially over with this lane swap. It's kind of standard lanes, but right now it's probably going to continue like this with this top lane, these two duo lanes and where they are right now. They may swap off after Ryze picks up this farm. I think that's what LGD is trying to do. They're waiting for this Ryze to soak up that farm, and maybe they might shove this wave in, depending how everything goes in lane. Right now, Lee Sin's getting pinged out. Everyone's getting pinged out there. Massive amounts of pings. Oh, it wasn't Lee Sin, it was Alistar. I thought I saw Lee Sin under it. So now the bot side wave is pushing out, and Ryze is able to pick up some farm where Lulu can't because of how overextended she would be. Lulu still has a massive CS advantage on this Ryze. She has built her Fiendish Codex, so she's probably going into Athene's or Morel's first. The different Lulu builds we've been seeing is we've been actually seeing a Rod of Ages on Lulu first because of the less need for this Righteous Glory. So Ryze getting Acorn getting a nice little freeze down there, really making Koro not be able to do anything. Right now she's going to take Romp, Krugs, and it's really just hard for her to do anything with this freeze. It's going to go back the other way towards LGD in a minute once it hits the turret. So this lane swap, I would have to say, did favor LGD a little bit more than EDG this game. They did burn the flesh, but they didn't really do anything with it. It just made Koro a little more awkward to farm on, and they suffered some misfarm on the Ryze because Ryze couldn't do anything. But really, after keeping that freeze, Ryze is able to get a tier. He's able to start stacking it. And overall, I would say this lane swap did go in favor of LGD, even though they did miss a turret. But in this sense, they're going to just recapitalize on this turret at this point, where the topside turret on LGD side still hasn't been touched. They're going to pick up this gold shortly. Kog'Maw just hit 6, so he's going to be able to bully out Deft, no problem. with this with his ult. And also the level discrepancy between Miko and PYL is also an issue. I guess right now they're just going to send Ryze top now, or yeah, they're going to send they're just going to keep Imp Ups top by himself. They're going to see if Deft stays, and they're seeing if Deft is going to stay, I think. And once they see Deft isn't there, they're going to try to pick up this turret. Nope, Deft is still staying. So Imp really wants this turret at this point. LGD wants this topside turret. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Lee Sin start coming up topside just to help get this turret a little bit quicker. Because right now both AD carries are feeling not the safest. I mean, both of them are on pretty immobile AD carries, and they both want to push this turret, but they can't go in by themselves. They need to stay and keep everything under control. Overall with this, I would say it favors Imp a little bit more, because Imp needs more money than Imp does need more money than Pawn at this case. So we have a little skirmish from this. TBQ getting TBQ and everyone getting caught out. So EDG really now take advantage of this whole lane swap issue. Overall, I would say it did favor LGD until that happened, and now that EDG did take out Lee Sin, it's not a good day to be Imp at this point. Imp's just going to get bullied out. So that one play really changing this whole lane swap around with this Evelynn. So we'll now see another variation of a Chinese lane swap, what was really going on, even in some EU LCS games, but it wasn't too much of a difference. So when I said Alistar does better than Annie in a lane swap, both of them need level 6, but Alistar's more useful, I would say, pre-6 than Annie. Annie needs 6 for her Tibbers. It's just a lot easier to land a stun with Tibbers than it is her W. She has to flash W. It does burn her flash. I mean, she does have to flash Tibbers sometimes to land initiations, but Annie does need the level 6, I would say, more than Alistar. Once Alistar hits 6, he's really great for diving turrets with his Unbreakable Will. But overall, Annie, I think, has fallen out of this meta with these tanky supports, especially since Braum got a buff, and other champions I think are just better right now as supports. So the last game we're gonna go. We got 2 more games. We got OMG and Masters 3. So lower them a bit. So right here we're gonna have another Chinese game. We're gonna show what happens in this one if you try to protect your top lane turret with insufficient amount of people. So we're gonna just have a normal. Looks like we're getting some lines of scrimmage here. No one really getting deep vision. Maokai starting his saplings, and he's just gonna take this these wraiths. Where OMG's taking the bots, sending their duo lane top, and it's gonna be a normal double jungle start for them. Looks like they're just gonna leash over this to Kandi, and they're just going to go straight in the lane. So right now, the reason for this lane swap that occurred, we have Maokai, Sivir, Alistar, and we have Rumble, Vayne, Nautilus. Rumble does fine in lane swaps. He doesn't need much gold. Vayne needs the gold, and Vayne is really not a strong AD carry pre-6, especially against the Alistar. Nautilus does help her a bit, just keeping everyone under control. But still, I would see why keeping this Vayne by himself is beneficial. So right now, it looks like we got a fast push from. It looks like we have a freeze topside. So it looks like Vayne's just freezing like we did see in the TDK Gravity game, where Sivir is probably going to fast push this because of how Sivir just does against turrets. Looks like she's fast pushing, where Vayne is keeping the lane frozen. So Nautilus just roaming around, seeing if he can find the enemy jungler and top laner. Now we got Elise and Rumble roaming topside just to get some invade done, where they started bot side. Now this is the weaker side. This, what I'd have to say, is the stronger side. Yeah, it's double this way, double that way. It usually runs parallel to where your duo lane is, to which side's your stronger side. Now this is not too good for OMG right here. Nautilus is caught out a bit, even though Nautilus was just trying to keep everyone off this red buff so they could soak up that XP. Now it looks like Rumble's going to recall at this point, and it looks like even Nautilus is. Elise is just going to go down and keep farming. So at this point, the mid laners don't really have to worry about much, but they just need to kind of have tabs on where everyone is. In China, it seems like in Korea, it seems like a more idealistic thing to dive the mid laner, which we're going to see after they pick up the farm. So right now, it looks like OMG decide to go bot because they feel that they're going to try and dive this bot wave, where Vayne's just free farming still. She has a freeze pushed into her. Sivir is trying to push it out and try to land this, get this early turret. It looks like OMG is gonna be successful defending it. They don't have a big enough minion wave, and they're not really pushing this tower in right now. They are stopping the XP going to Rumble though. That would be the only success from this. Rumble doesn't really want to get near them. Once Elise gets here, it's okay because it will be a 3v4, and it's too hard to dive a 3v4. Where if it's just a 4v2, which we'll see later, how much easier it is to die. So Maokai we see teleports top. OMG doesn't know this yet. Once they see it, they'll ping out Maokai. Vayne keeping this lane nice and frozen. And Maokai has to he doesn't have to overextend, but he isn't going to be gunning this farm that he really wants and needs, where Rumble is at 12 farm already, and he's not doing too bad. So now San's still roaming around trying to just find where these enemy junglers are and top laners just to get an idea. Vayne by herself against this Maokai Rek'Sai isn't too great. She doesn't have the best wave clear even late game to just push this wave away so she can't get dove. So Vayne's still farming against this Maokai, where Rumble is trying to pick up some farm safely against this Alistar Sivir. Looks like they're trying to do a return gank onto Cool. Looks like Cool is roaming, is leaning towards his bot side because they know where everyone is. He knows his jungler's that side, and now he's really starting to overextend, but he's just going to E away. So once again, they're still trying to put pressure on Cool on this Azir. My issue, yeah, that was fine. I misread something. So other than that, Rumble's just gonna have a tough time farming, and he's gonna be sitting there trying to do what he can with his harpoons safely. He's gonna throw his flame spitter out, just running in circles. He can't really overextend to pick up this farm. If Alistar wants to be a little cute, he can stand in front of it. Okay, we're just going to see the top side now. So it looks like we're going to get a dive top side. Once you freeze, I'm going to pause it. Once Vayne has this lane frozen and it pushes back into her, it's now going to be frozen. It's now going to start pushing out back towards the other side. And now it's going to have this really big minion wave, and it really makes it easy for dives to occur. And we have Elise here, and Elise is one of the better turret divers. So now we're going to have Loveling come in. Loveling's going to cocoon. She's going to miss and get aggroed by the turret. Looper got really lucky here that his saplings were able to kill everything, and everything went in favor of him. But now he has to survive the next dive, unless he gets help from Rek'Sai. So now we're going to see a teleport in from Rumble. Mancloud's going to Akandi's going to go down at this point, and Gugoing's going to come in and really just help succeed this dive. Loveling getting really low. He doesn't really want to take this turret aggro anymore. So this is what happens when you have a 4v2 situation. I mean, Rumble didn't really need to be here for the kill onto Mancloud. It was just poor positioning and not respecting the Vayne into the condemn against the wall and the silver proc bullets, and someone else tanking the aggro of the turret. And I think they were out of aggro range. So this is what happens when you don't respect the dive. And this was happening in EU LCS, and it was just really poor play from Masters 3. So that was one. This is the second to last one of lane swaps I want to go over, and we got one more. We're going to go. This one's really quick.
And with the defensive
we got
line set up,
Cloud9. Okay, we got Cloud9 and Team Liquid Game 5 Spring Split. So a lot of supports do this. They start roaming in once you know Sivir's just going to leash for Gragas. Gragas doesn't need much help. So right now we see Lemon just really going to start going in and being annoying. This is really risky on squishier supports, but with these two champions, there's really not much kill potential. Maokai level 1, Sejuani level 2, he can start getting attacked a little bit, but he's going to have the regen, he's going to pop a biscuit, and he's just going to be annoying at this point, really slowing their clear. So slowing their clear down a bit, Gragas is going to start coming up at this point and just really start becoming even more of a menace. And he's still staying. He has plenty of health. Gragas is here. He burns Quas's flesh. At the end of the day, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose the wolves. Nautilus still being annoying, keeping them out of their jungle. Sneaky still farming. Alistar finally roams down to help this situation going on, making it a 3v5. But still, there's not enough. It's just a really big tank fight at this point. Well, now Lulu and Alistar both roam down. Sneaky's going to be down here first, and at this point, Sneaky down here first at level 2 is going to be more an advantage than Lulu, Alistar, and that. So now we got High even down here at level 2. He's going to land some damage, and Sneaky's going to get more. Gragas Flesh Body Slam, keeping the CC. Lissandra's going to pick up a kill, and now Sneaky's going to pick up a kill. This is what happens when things really go poor and they want to capitalize, but they aren't respecting the level 2s and 3s of everybody. Team Liquid really should have just gotten out of there. Now, a lot of supports end up copying what Lemonation did. This was in the spring split, where they start doing this invade, just keeping tabs on using the support, the tankiness, since you are this tanky support meta right now with the Braum, Nautilus, Thresh, just to keep tabs on where everybody is. Lustboy does this with Janna, I believe, and it doesn't go too well. You gotta be careful when you do this with Janna or Annie or, in Lemon's case, now when he's playing Karma a little bit. Once you play these squishier supports, you need to be careful of what support you're doing this on. So now we have different variations of lane swaps. Now, which one's the best? We really don't know which one's the best. There's certain situations where the fast pushing one is the best. It depends on team comp, it depends on who's doing what, where everyone is on the map, and how you plan on taking this game. Do you plan on taking it objectively? Do you want to abuse that they're going for the lane swap and not fast push and let your AD carry? Does your AD carry want to farm? Does your AD carry want to split fast push? Are they good against this 2v2 lane? These are questions that people have, that the coach has to ask himself, and then tell the players to maybe try to teach why this is right, why this is wrong, and even other analysts and other coaches and that and stuff have to go over with their team and explain why the 2v2, why this 2v2. They don't have to explain why this 2v2 is better than this 2v2. The players understand that, but they have to understand why do they want to fast push? Why do they want to keep it frozen? Why do they want to take an early Drake? What are their win conditions, essentially? What are their win conditions with this lane swap? What do they want to get out of the lane swap? What do they not want to happen in the lane swap? So that was my lane swap video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and have a good day, guys.